stuff. The doctors we came to the hospital, the doctors were playing around. They didn't want to give me antibiotics. They were not sure what was wrong with me. But the ear, nose, and throat people came. They did a probe. They sent down one of those machines. They could do a video question. They took one look what's going on inside, and 5 people came running into my room. All of a sudden, I became a patient. I sat in the emergency room. I don't know, 15 hours, 16 hours, but they put me in a room. I was lucky. In the hallway, people were all together, you know. In the emergency room in NYU, there's patients all over the place, in rooms and hallways and closets, wherever they can put a person. I was fortunate to give me a room. Now, we haven't learned in 4 weeks, right? Which is enough time to forget everything we ever learned, which is, of course, not so good. So let's get our act together. I'm happy to be back. I'm not 100%, but I would say I'm 90%. Still got this cold, as you can hear, and also cough a lot. So I just drink water, hot water, like an old lady. I became my grandmother. Okay, so let's go. I spent an awful lot of time this morning preparing, literally. Because the sikha we're going to learn after this is quite challenging. But first, I couldn't decide which one we're going to learn. Then I had to figure out how we're going to learn it. It all took a lot of time. The problem is we haven't finished the last one. I'm just on the last page of a sikha, which is a weird place to start after a 4-week break. So I'm going to do my best to bring everybody into what's going on. Okay, that's what we had a break. Unfortunately, I got sick. Happens to the best of us. So I'm going to sort of help you gain your bearings. Okay, I'm going to try my best to make this process of joining the class or rejoining the class something that'll work for you. Okay, that's my plan. If anybody need a copy of the Sikh, anybody not have a copy of the Sikh? Okay, here are the copies. Hope there are enough. Should be enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any more by chance or no?
I do not, but you can make this. Take one of those and send them down.
Yeah. Just in case. Take mine?
You're Kana.
Wait. Almost, no. What's my name? What's my name? Girls, no. Only my name.
You have more than one name?
I just have one name.
Leah, what do I forget? I'm no good.
It's fine.
Okay, you're Anili.
I remember your name. The second one.
I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Hold on. What's your name?
Lima Leon.
Lima Ilia. And what is your name? Ayelet. Where you from?
Upper East Side.
Oh, welcome. Over easy to Brooklyn.
I'm gonna learn here for 2 weeks.
Hope it works. Welcome.
Thank you.
Who are you? You've been here before, right? What's your last name?
Dennis.
Dennis. Welcome. And I know you were from Texas, right?
No, I'm new.
Behind you.
Oh,
Oh, you can't talk.
I can talk.
Okay, what is your name?
Sisachava Rua.
Ruach. I got it already. And you are?
Rebecca, I'm new.
Rebecca Amnu. What's your last name?
Judah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't remember names. Over the course of my illness, I did a lot of reading, which I never do. And one of the things that I read was a wonderful story about a rabbi who was a teacher for many years. And when he came on in years, he couldn't remember any students' names. So the first day of the year, he would give them all a name that would be easy for him to remember. So the one writing the article is a rabbi. His name is Taub. It's his family name, Taub. There's a Hasidic dynasty called Mudgets, that the Mudgets Rebbe's family name is Taub. So he became Mudgets. So he was able to remember it. That's a good trick. If you want to remember, when you get to my age, you just don't remember names. It's not personal. It really isn't. You just don't remember names. Let's go. Let's go. I'm here. Let's learn. Ruach is also a first name.
Really?
It's your family name.
Yeah.
So Liba, what's your name again?
Zisel.
Liba Zissel.
Just Zisel. Zisel Chava.
Zissel Chava.
No,
I get Liba, I don't know. Zissel Chava. You told me 1 minute ago and I forgot everything. Hey, it's no good. I used to have a good memory. Okay, let's go. I want to know my number one job with this sickness is not to feel like an old man. To go back to full work. As soon as I recover to do what I do and not to be afraid and live your life in fear. Okay, shall we? Let's go. Okay, Kinderlach, let me tell you what's going on. Okay, we're starting the sikha that I handed you. We're starting on page 165, which is so unfair because we're literally at the end of something and it's been so long. So let me help you. Let me help you catch up to where we're holding, what we do here, okay? In these classes, we're learning Sichas of the Rebbe through the story of the Torah, the Chumash. So many years ago, we started Lech Lecha, but Abraham Avinu. I should have started with Bereshis, that's the truth, but I didn't. And over the course of all these years, we learned the story of the Chumash with Sichas in order. So, for those of you who visit my website, go to my website, go to the Sichas section. In the Sichas section, there is a subsection called Themes. And in the subsection called Themes, you have a subsection called the story of the Torah through the lens of the Sichas, something like that. I forgot what it's called. And they have 4 folders. The first folder is the patriarchs and the matriarchs, Rabbi and Yankel. The second folder is Yosef and his brothers. And we learned all these sichos of all these years, learned a lot of stuff. The third folder is from exile to redemption. From Golos to Geula. And the fourth folder is you're not free until you serve God. If you like to listen to my class and you're familiar with what I do on my website, I have a section, thank you, which is called the story of the Torah through the lens of the Sichos, and I have 4 subsections so far. We're in the middle of the 4th. The Avis, the patriarch, Yosef and his brothers, from exile to redemption, which is our Pashas, Shmois V'Eira by B'Shalom, 1. And then the next section is called You're Not Free Till You Serve God. In other words, we didn't become a free people because we left Egypt. We became a free people who accepted the Torah.
I'm trying to find it.
Go to the Sichos section.
Yeah.
When you're in the Sichos section,
Themed Sichos.
right, open it up.
Yeah. History their Sichos.
That's it. And there's 4
Found it.
subgroups there, right?
Oh, it's not across.
Yeah, all your classes, including pretty recent ones.
Woohoo, wow.
Can't find what I'm looking for. It's not here by me. You found,
Yeah, I found it. I'll put it on the group chat.
so why am I missing it? I mean, it's missing. Yeah. You found it, but I can't. What are we gonna? My phone is missing. You know the expression, they said it's human to error. It takes the computer to really foul things up. I'm sure you've heard that one, right?
No.
Then you can complain to my boss.
Is it you?
My boss? No,
Your wife?
no, the one who runs my website. That is. Okay. Anyway, so the point is, the Jewish nation, I mean, we're reading in Chumash, right? This week is Pashat Bayit. Today we're actually leaving Mitzrayim, right? Tonight is going to be the first mitzvah in the whole business. The idea is that the story of the Torah says we're not free because we have no master. We're free because we're servants of God. It's axiomatic. It's axiomatic how Torah thinks. You see, in teaching these sikhs, I'm giving you a perspective. In teaching these sikhs, I'm giving you a perspective. And the perspective that I'm giving you is that the Torah, the Chumash, the 5 books of Moses, are a strange kind of history book. Because they're very incomplete. When you read the Chumash, you're reading history, but there's so much missing, right? And there's so much detail which seems so unnecessary. You have to understand that the Torah has to be seen as the history book, not of the world, but of the world's purpose. Not of the what, but the why. God created the world. In the Torah, he has the purpose. The Torah tells us the entire history of the world that relates to the purpose of it. And the purpose of the world is a relationship with God. It begins with a few people, it continues with a nation, the Jewish people, and ultimately it's all mankind. And this is the perspective of the Torah. And this is how we're learning the Chumash through the lens of the Sikh. So the Rebbe says, Chassidus teaches, the Mishnah says, to be a free person, you have to be connected to something much bigger than yourself. In other words, freedom, the cliche line that I always use, freedom doesn't mean I can do whatever I want. Freedom means whatever I want, I can do. And those are very different things. I can do whatever I want means I can live like an animal. Whatever I want, I can do means I can challenge myself incredibly, and I can meet that challenge. It's the gift of free will and exercising free. So the Mishnah says, and it's axiomatic in Yiddishkeit, we become free, we become bigger and stronger in our relationship with Hashem. Even though it seems like he's in quotes controlling us. We have to keep Shabbos, and we can't do this, we can't do that, can't do the other thing. What's actually happening is the image in giving us this relationship with him. And in us living by his mandate, he stretches us. That's what it is. He makes us bigger and stronger. He gives us more self-control and more self-management. So this is the foundational idea that we didn't become free because we left Egypt. We became free because after we left Egypt, we got the Torah. And that's why we're redeemed. We're redeemed to get the Torah. That's the story of the Jewish people. The story of the Jewish people of their relationship with God. You can't separate it. Okay? We talk about all of this. We spent so much time. We learned so many wonderful secrets. It's been a good ride. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, different people, I have people, very important people who listen to these classes in order from the beginning on their own. And they found the series, they follow, they appreciate what we're doing. You're getting out of the middle of the train, which is why I have to sort of tell you what's been going on until now. So this part of it, you're not free until you connect to God. Pardon me. Is the story of Patrick Yisrael. Yisrael, as we know, Moshe Rabbeinu's father-in-law. He's a man who, by himself, unilaterally, he's a very, very intelligent, very, very smart. And he was a kohen, he was a pagan priest, but he was a very critically thinking man. And at some point in his life, he discovered that he doesn't agree with the theology he was living. And he announced to his community, to his people, to the world, that he doesn't believe what he believed before. And he was ostracized, he was pushed out, right? Moshe Rabbeinu shows up in his home gratuitously. Moshe Rabbeinu marries his daughter. And he comes out into the desert to join the Jewish people. And it says in the Zohar, it's worth in many, many books, that if Yisrael wouldn't come, God wouldn't give the Torah. Yisrael is a very important player in this story. So Yisrael's appearance adds another aspect to this idea of freedom, that a man who was so accomplished put aside all of his accomplishments, came out into a desert to develop a relationship with Hashem with the understanding that this is going to give him another level of freedom. Then we have the story of the giving of the Torah itself, Matan Torah itself, the story of Hashem giving us the Torah. The story of Hashem giving the Torah is very complex, and we've been sitting on the story probably for 3 years, because it doesn't only talk about the event of Mount Sinai, the story of Hashem in quotes coming down on the mountain and giving us the Torah. Every day something else happened. They arrived on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Every day something else happened. And we spent time on each day. That's how we've been doing this. Each day got a section. Monday was the day of unity. Monday was the day for the soul. Moshe didn't speak. Jews had nothing to argue about, they had nothing to disagree about, and they were able to become a unity, a nation of oneness. With one man, with one heart, as we all know, the famous Mechilta that Rashi brings, which is a necessary step in getting to faith. Tuesday, the second day, that's the day which we call Yom HaMiyuchas. That's the day when we are officially chosen. You know, the notion of the chosen people, it has a date. Tuesday, the 2nd of Sivan, we were chosen. But when we were chosen, we were given terms. Hashem said, this is what I'm offering you. I am offering you to be my chosen people. But this is what I want from you. I want you to learn Torah and the mitzvahs. I want you to be mine. And we agreed. Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain on Tuesday morning. And Hashem told him, I'm offering the Jewish people 3 gifts. Mamlechas Kohanim, Great Kodesh, and Segula, to be a treasure, to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. We learned all of these details. Every one of these words is a whole sikh. We learned them all with Hashem's help. But I need for the Jewish people to learn Torah to be mine. And he didn't say it. So Wednesday morning, he goes back up the mountain. And Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu what's going to happen. He says to Moshe Rabbeinu that I'm going to speak only to you. The Jews are going to witness the conversation, but they're not going to participate in the conversation. Because to speak to God, you don't just need good audio sense, you need to be able to be a prophet. To be a prophet means your body, conscious, subconscious, have to be very pure. Moshe Rabbeinu's whole life was lived in holiness and in purity. He was the greatest prophet that ever lived. Moshe Rabbeinu was very suited for Hashem to speak to him. The rest of the Jews were the rest of the Jews. So Hashem says to Moshe, I'm going to talk to you. The Jews are going to be outside the fence and they're going to witness, they're going to see me talking to you, and it'll be good for you also, Hashem says to Moshe. If they see me talking to you, they're going to be dependent upon you. So Moshe comes down the mountain. I told you this story 100 times. And he tells the Jewish people, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to put up a fence. I'm going to be inside the fence. You're going to be outside the fence. Hashem is talking only to me. I'm sure he didn't say that arrogantly, but he did say it. And you're going to watch. Your participation in the giving of the Torah, you're going to be witnesses. But you're not going to be able to hear because you're not qualified to be prophet. And the Jews said, no deal. If we're doing business with God, we're signing the contract without any lawyer. The lawyers do all the negotiating, but the contract we have to sign face to face. Hashem is giving us the Torah. I have to talk to us direct. Now, what's my next cliche line?
Hashem thought
it was a terrible idea.
Moshe thought it was a great idea. The Jews had no idea.
What they're getting themselves into. That's
Yeah.
very good. Hashem thought it was a terrible idea. Moshe thought it was a great idea. The Jews had no idea what was going to happen. The Jews say to Moshe, God's going to have to come to us, which means the Jews have to become prophets. It takes a lifetime to become a prophet. And most people, even in a lifetime, can achieve it. The Jews had 48 hours. And Hashem says, Moshe, this is really not a good idea. And Moshe was so excited. Me yitin, you have a pasuk in Chumash later on. Me yitin, kol Hashem. I'd be thrilled if every Jew becomes a prophet. Anyway, they had 48 hours to prepare. We all know how it ended. They died. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. And they came running back to Moshe Rabbeinu. I said, Moshe, let's go back to plan A. So Moshe Rabbeinu was so disappointed. For something technical like dying, you're going to give up being a prophet? That was his thinking. To Moshe Rabbeinu, the idea of meeting Hashem face to face was so special that losing your life for it was a small price to pay. That's how he looked at it. And the Jews said, it's enough. You know, Hashem made it's enough. Moshe is disappointed. It's a great way to describe the story. Hashem says this is not going to work, and Moshe says, I don't care if it doesn't work, but every Yid is going to meet God face to face. And of course, the Jews were naive. So that happened on Thursday. Okay. So we did Wednesday and Thursday. I gave you a lot of classes on prophecy. I went through many secrets of the Rebbe on prophecy. We used it as an opportunity to talk about prophecy and witness and all these other wonderful things. Okay. Then comes Friday, which is where we're holding. Friday is the day that the Jewish people were collectively converted as a nation. We were all converted collectively. A Jew, whole Jewish nation was converted. And the laws of conversion we learned from the conversion of the Jewish people that took place on Friday, the eve that they were given. Okay, this is according to Rashi. Pardon me, at least. On Friday, Moshe Rabbeinu brought a carbon. On Friday, the Jewish people went to the mikveh. On Friday, Moshe Rabbeinu sprayed the blood of the carbon of the Jewish people. On Friday, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote a book that's called Sefer Habris, the Book of the Covenant, which according to Rashi includes the beginning of the Chumash till Matan Torah and the mitzvah that the Jewish people had already received. And he read it to them. He read Vayikra, he read it to them. And when he read it to them, the Jewish people said collectively, Nasa Nishma, we will do and we will do and we will hear. It's called Kabbalah HaMitzvah, accepting the mitzvah, which is a very important part of conversion. So to be a convert, you need 4 things. If you're male, and 3 things if you're female. You have to have a bris, circumcision, because the Jewish people did in Egypt. You have to have a korban, to bring a sacrifice. You have to go to the mikveh, and you have to accept mitzvahs. Of course, if you're a woman, you don't do a bris. The Gemara says about Jewish women, Isha command them healer. It's not that a woman is missing a bris; she's born already circumcised, so she has to do the korban, mikveh, and Kabbalah subjects. It's acceptance. That's how it is. Okay. So the story, the title describes that we went through that process. Every Jew was converted, and we learned from the story of the eve of Matan Torah when all the Jewish people were converted. The Gemara says that the laws of conversion of somebody today who's not Jewish, who wishes to join the Jewish people, he joins the Jewish people on the basis of these same rituals. Okay. The problem is there's no korban. Till Mashiach comes, there's no korban. And the Rebbe is very bothered by the fact that a person who goes through conversion in times of goals is missing a korban. Now, all the rabbis say, it doesn't matter, you're not missing anything. And the Rebbe is very not happy with the various explanations that the rabbis give for why a person who goes through a conversion today who is missing a korban is still a complete contradiction. It bothers him. He makes it up each other, he disagrees with it of each other, which he doesn't do often. And the Rebbe comes up with his own explanation. And we learned it. We learned the whole explanation. The explanation that the Rebbe comes up with is, I guess you could call it dynamic, but I'm not going to give you the long version of it because I've already talked too long, okay? In other words, I want to get to the sikh. What the Rebbe basically explains is as follows. That being a Jew has an essence and a form. Being a Jew has a single point, and being a Jew has a whole body. The essence of being a Jew is that you have a neshama and you have a connection to Hashem. The form of being the Jew is that every part of your body serves Hashem. Every piece of you serves Hashem. But each part of you serves Hashem differently. As you know, I'm sure, we have 248 mitzvahs, like 248 other commandments. Because according to Torah, the body has 248 limbs. And by the way, limbs basically means bones. It doesn't mean organs. It doesn't include the brain and the heart, and the eyeballs, and the kidneys, and the tongue, and the liver. It's supposed to be the limbs. Every mitzvah corresponds to a different part of the person. And to be a complete Yid, you gotta do all the mitzvahs. Why? You gotta exercise every muscle, you have to use every part of yourself. So the essence of being a Jew is the Jewish soul. The form of being a Jew, the composite of being a Jew is doing all 650. You follow?
Yeah.
So the Rebbe says a wonderful thing. The essence of being a Jew is achieved by going to the mikveh. By going to the mikveh.
And also accepting mitzvahs.
One second. The essence of being a Jew is through the bris milah and the mikveh, the accepting mitzvahs. Leave aside, we're gonna do that really in the next year. Gosh, I worked hard this morning. The next year was, I first had to decide which one I'm gonna teach, but the next year is gonna be talking about accepting mitzvahs. Being a Jew in essence is doing a bris milah and going to the mikveh. Being a Jew in your full form is the korban. And he explained why, which I'm not gonna repeat. But here's the bottom line, In the time of Golus, it's impossible to be a Jew. Like I told you in class 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, last time we learned, that it says in holy books that of the 248 positive commandments that we have, in the time of Golus, you can only keep 86 of them. Most mitzvahs you can't keep. Mitzvahs meant to end. So mitzvahs to the base, mikdash, and many other mitzvahs we can't keep. So the Rebbe says a wonderful thing. A person who goes through conversion in the time of Golus. Okay, you listening? But he doesn't bring a korban. There's nothing wrong with his conversion because in the exile in general, the identity of the Jew is defined by their essence, not by the detail and the form, because they can't do it anyway. So therefore, the gay or the Yoydes, the convert or the convertess, who hasn't brought her korban or his korban is not missing anything, because even Jews who are born Jewish don't have that aspect of being a Jew. The fire of our Jewishness we have, the detail, the order, the beauty, the form, the completeness, nobody has the time of those. So therefore, the gay isn't missing the korban because that dimension of Yiddishkeit you don't have in the Golos. This is the sikha that we learned already. Okay, the sikha we learned already. So why am I repeating all of this? Because we didn't finish. We're holding up page 165. I want to read the lesson. Okay. Now, before I do, I want to talk a little. And I need you to understand that what I'm going to say, I've already discussed with you in the past. I'm repeating it just very, very briefly. Okay. You must see your sikha?
It's 161, 160, 161, 162, 163, 160, 161. I just.
Oh my God. Okay, so girls, you got the copy stapled wrong. She must have given.
I didn't run down.
No, look, make sure how
I
you hold the
have
page.
160, 161, 162, 163. Yeah, I have it in order.
Does anybody have too many 165s?
Two.
I have 165.
Okay, so you have to change with
Maybe I said.
with baby. Okay.
Oh, I have two of the same. thing.
Okay, so someone else has got two of the same. Can someone look at your copies? If you have two of the same, let's make this work.
Does anyone need a 165, 164?
It's really all we need. Does somebody have only 161s and 162s? Huh?
What page are we on right now?
165.
So you're good.
If you don't have 165, there's a spare 165. Okay, I want to tell you something. I've talked to Stuart. God, I want to tell you something. I knew a man who just died, mamish a few days ago. And I talked to you about him, but I didn't say his name. Now I'm going to say his name. His name was Zalman Rosenblum. I knew Zalman Rosenblum almost 40 years ago when I was in Yeshiva in California. Zalman Rosenblum had polio. And he was in a wheelchair. He had a twin brother, an identical twin brother, who was healthy, and I met them both together. And, when you have polio and you recover from polio, you don't recover completely. You have decisions to make, but usually you get polio as a child. So you make these decisions when you're very young. And
I remember you spoke about him, yeah.
but now I'm telling you his name, he just passed away, so this should be this chusva, really. One of the decisions we made is whether to use crutches and supports or to sit in the wheelchair. A lot of people fight with themselves. The muscles are atrophied. They're not gonna, it'll take a miracle for a person with that polio to regain the use of the muscles. But you still wanna, a lot of people with polio insist on using crutches and these braces that hold, literally physically hold your body up. He made the decision not to do it. He made the decision as a child to sit in the wheelchair. I don't. And if you met down the road, you got a regular speech from him. I am not an invalid. I am not a cripple. I'm a different kind of whole. And this was, him, it was very important to share this. Otherwise, you couldn't meet him and not hear that speech because he wanted you to hear his philosophy. Now, this philosophy of life was the basis for how he lived. He created a life for himself around his illness, but he never ever considered himself ill. I'm just different healthy. And it was very important to him to share that, to make you understand that. And to be honest, he wanted you to agree with him. May the Neshama have an aliyah, he's a wonderful man, lived a wonderful life, he dealt with a lot of difficulties and all the rest. But I don't think that I would never talk to him, no point. And I'll tell you why. Because Teves does hold that there's a right way and a wrong way. Teves doesn't believe there's a lot of rights. There's a right way and a wrong way. Or to say it in abstract word, there's something called the image of God. Human beings are created in the image of God. And if I had more time, I could give you a whole speech on the image of God. We were created in the image of God. The image of God is to walk upright. The image of God is to have full control of all your faculties. It's to such an extent that the law is, and this is very painful, and this is, I had a student once who pressed me in class about this. If a person is a balmum, if a person is an invalid, and he's a kohen, he's not allowed to work in the Beis HaMikdash because he's not called in the image of God. And that's very unfair. It's cruel. It's part of Torah. But Torah says, to work in the Beis HaMikdash, you need to be a whole, you need to be complete. And if you're not complete and you don't have balance, if you don't use all the parts of yourself, you're not allowed to serve. Now, I tried talking to Solomon about that. And I was much younger myself. I was 20 years old. And I realized quite quickly that it was not going to happen. So I left. Okay. But Hasidus actually asks the question, where's the righteousness? Where's the fairness? You know, why should a person who God made an invalid not be able to do the way in the Beis HaMikdash? And so on.
It's the same with the moms, I know.
The moms is even worse.
Yeah.
The moms is even worse. Right. But okay, let's talk about one controversy at a time. And there are actually Maimonic Hasidus that address it. And the prototype for the two models, believe it or not, are Sarah and Esther. That's how the Maimonim go. Sarah represents the Beis HaMikdash, Sarah represents the whole person, and Esther represents the individual. The Maimonic Hasidus that talk about this question, at least from the Shab Yavet Mitzamach Tzedek, also use Sarah and Esther as their respective models. And basically, this is the idea. This is the idea. The Eibishter made a person to be in his image. And when a person is not, they overcompensate. They do other things, what they're able to do better and more than the people who are healthy and balanced. Because they make up for what they're missing by doing other. When the Eibishter created Yiddishkeit, God created Judaism, created two models. And inside the Beis HaMikdash model, which is led by Sarah, and then outside the Beis, and Yom Kippur, and then outside the Beis HaMikdash model, which is represented by Esther, and put them Yom Kippur on the same, but they're both connected to the ladder. And then Rebbe the Maimonim explained to use classic language, it's in the Tzaddik and in the Baal Tshuva. There's the whole person, and there's the compensating person. They're very different. The whole person is defined by being complete. He uses every part of himself in balance. The compensating person is defined by pushing himself or herself beyond their own limits. And in many ways, they exceed the whole person. But it's by being unwhole, by being exceptional in certain ways and being missing in other areas. You follow?
Yeah.
But there's two models, and the Chassidus talks about this quite a bit. When I told this to you last time, I told you about the meeting that the Rebbe had with the Israelis who came for the Paralympics. Remember I told you that story? A whole bunch of Israelis were wounded in the 6-day war. The Yom Kippur War came to the Rebbe in 1975 or 76, and the Rebbe spoke to them. And after the Rebbe spoke to them, the Rebbe went off the stage, and he went over to each one, and he shook their hand, and he told them thank you, and he gave them $1. Normally, when you got $1 from the Rebbe, you went over to the Rebbe went over to them. This picture, he shook their hand, and he told them thank you. They gave them $1. And the Rebbe spoke to them. There's an audio of the Rebbe's talk. And the Rebbe never is dramatic. He speaks very plain, no excitement. But the Rebbe said something so wonderful. They said that when they heard the Rebbe speak, they felt understood. Nobody understood them. They felt when the Rebbe talked to them, they understood. What the Rebbe told them was that the nature of a human being, that when Hashem takes away one part from them, they automatically work hard at the other part. And they succeed, they become very successful. And the Rebbe said to them, you look at yourself as pathetic, you athletes, and now you can't run. No, you were very gifted in certain fields, you can't see. But the fact is, human beings were designed with the capacity for compensation. And the compensators exceed the people who are balanced in those areas where they're functional. And therefore, the Rebbe said that you shouldn't call an invalid nechei, which means a cripple. You should call an invalid a mitzuyat, exceptional.
Wow.
Because in the parts of him that function, he's actually exceptional. Like the blind person who hears the slightest sound. Like the blind person, when he touches a table or a pair of glasses, he feels texture, he feels nuance that a seeing person would never notice. It's the way the Eibishter made us. And the Rebbe gave them a charge. The charge was, don't feel bad for yourself. Be exceptional. It's a wonderful example of this. This is exactly what our Sikh is about. The carbon represents the whole balanced Jew. The temple model, the Beis HaMikdash person. The Bris Milah and the mikveh, the circumcision, and the mikveh represents the essence of being a Jew. So the Rebbe says in the times of Golus, there is no such thing as a whole Jew, because nobody can do all the mitzvahs. That's why the Gayed is not missing his carbon, because even the Jews who were born Jewish also don't have the carbon. In as much as the carbon represents balance and order and wholeness and everything having a place and using every part of yourself in a precisely relative and integrated way. In Golus, nobody's doing it. That's why they get it missing the carbon. That's the Rebbe's explanation. I think it's a wonderful explanation. Okay? Now, if you're all clear, we will learn. I'm sorry. You want to take a break? Okay. I'm back in 5 minutes.
That was too easy.
The minute you change your name from Liata, Lee, who's not going to listen? I'm sorry, what did you say?
Very nice.
It's an incredible story. And you can watch them. What they did was they made out of it a video. 5 minutes, they made a video. Jen made a video of that meeting. And they only have photos, they only have stills. There's no running film. So you see the Rebbe sitting on the stage and talking to them, and the Rebbe met them. They came to 770. But really, let's come back in 5, yeah?
You got it.
This'll cover. This'll cover. I'm so bad. It's incredible.
Am I still the girl with the broken foot?
Yeah, you are.
You want more water?
No, I still have. Thank you very much. You're Liba. You're Esther. What's your
Bailey.
name? I'm so bad.
No, you're good. Not that you remember my sister's name, but she's
She had a baby.
Rachel. Yeah,
Baruch
Manucha.
Okay, how they doing?
Baruch Hashem, exhausted. But thank God,
Your mother-in-law's here? Who's here? Her mother-in-law came?
so right now I'm her mother's helper.
Oh,
So thank God I'm there every evening and I bring the boys to yeshiva every other day.
yeah, my boss?
No, no, they're too close.
So they don't provide services.
What?
So because they're too close, they don't provide services.
Yeah,
Where do they live?
like across the street from Empire Kosher. They live like a minute from you.
That's my.
What, all the Tater? Where they going to school?
So Aaron goes to playgroup at Mora Esther's. I don't know if you know who that is.
My brother named
Okay.
Jordan.
She's an OG Crown Heightser. And then Ellie goes to Lubavitch Yeshiva.
Crown Street.
Yeah, Mora
So
Esther's
there's
on
no-
Cross Street.
No bus service from Empire to Crown Street? We don't provide bus service. It's whatever.
I don't know, but I push the stroller every other morning when Ben can't.
Really?
Yeah.
This is, I guess it's a nursery, what grade is he in? Q&A, but
He is the very first grade that he can be in. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm assuming they don't know. I can't imagine.
He sees other kids on the bus and he's so jealous because school bus.
Right, so he's pushing too close, I don't get that, I just don't understand.
I don't either, but I'm not in charge. I just push the stroller and slip on the ice. But Manucha is Leanne Hara Fishma.
It's beautiful, huh?
Can I show you a picture?
But you have to raise them now, you know?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, she already looks like Ellie. It's crazy. She looks like Ben and Ellie. Like, Ellie's obsessed with her. This is from holding his finger while he's sleeping.
I think somebody else looks into it too.
Yeah, you're correct. I'm obsessed with all of them.
Be well and healthy.
Amen.
Raise them well, in good health and in great success,
Good one.
and much blessing.
Um,
This is so cute.
I know. He put that in his big pocket. And he holds her and calls her my baby.
And they let her carry him around or?
No, just while he's sitting and supervised. And if Aram gets too close to her, he pushes him over and goes, be careful with her. Don't hurt her. Don't hurt your brother either.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking.
Oh, they found
Whatever.
someone else. I'm so annoyed.
That's rude of them.
Did you close it on your mind?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. I'm never gonna remember names, but I'll do
That's
that.
fine.
You're Lee Maria,
Yeah.
and you're Leah. And you're Ayala. I remember that's a miracle. Okay,
You're special.
you're Leah,
Great job.
and you're Bela, I just asked.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're Dobby's uncle.
sorry,
Lisa.
Rivka. I'm W's uncle, yeah, that is quite a number. I'm sorry, I don't remember names, I'm sorry. With the boys, I get them every day. So I literally memorize. By the time the year's over, the boys will come often enough. I remember the names, but I also forget. It's really not personal. Okay, one more minute, then we're gonna start.
My sister's Ruffle. I'm Bela from Belha. So
Okay, that's the way I remember it.
if not, the broken foot girl's fine.
Thank you.
I don't see it as the girl, I see the girl with the scooter. That's it.
Oh, yeah. I want to forget that.
If only I could.
Walking down the door. Walking down the road.
Hopping down the stairs while someone carried my scooter.
On Pesach? Yeah. That I'm not going to say that.
That's when it happened. That's the place.
It happened 2 weeks before Pesach, but they didn't believe me that it was broken because they said you couldn't walk on a broken foot. And then they took x-rays after I demanded and they were like, oh, it's really broken.
So it got hurt more because we were working on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
And they were like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you still had it. I remember we came to Shavuot and she still had the scooter. And
it
I'm like,
was so annoying
I'm like, why do you still have the scooter? I remember this over Pesach.
because I damaged it even more by
Yeah.
walking on a broken foot.
I'm gonna push like that. Okay, we're ready to roll, right? What's her name? I forgot. She had 3 names. Go sit here.
Which one?
The one sitting right
Rebecca
there.
and
Oh.
Zissel Chava.
Zissel Chava.
That's your family name?
Yeah, Ruach Halal.
How do you spell Ruach?
Ruach.
Oh, Ruach, R-U-A-C-H.
Yeah.
No, but the girl here in the front, who says Anu, has 3 names.
Oh, I don't even know one of them.
Rivka. Okay, and you're also Rivka in the back, right? Still remember? Oh, this is hysterical. Okay, might as well laugh, right? I could cry. Okay, let's go. So let's read. We're finishing the Sikha. We're on page 165, second column. And what the Rebbe is going to do is press on the Rebbe's favorite nerve. What's the Rebbe's favorite nerve? About Shuvah. What's the Rebbe's favorite nerve? The Pintalayid. In other words, the Rebbe is not going to feel bad for us that we didn't bring a garden. The Rebbe is not going to feel bad for us that we can't be whole in our being Jewish. Rather, he's going to focus on what we have, and he's going to make that the most important thing. You see what I'm saying? So let's go. Let's go. Okay, what are your names? All three of them.
Wait, me?
Yeah.
I just got one. Or I guess three.
What are your names?
My name is Rebecca.
Rivka. You told me before.
Judah.
Just one name, Rivka.
Yeah.
So how did I hear three? I imagined it. I imagined it. See? Okay, so I remember things that didn't even happen. Okay, so the Rebbe is going to focus on the idea of the Pentelegid, you understand? Which is our generation. The Rebbe's whole thing is about Shuvah. The Rebbe's whole thing is the Jew who's not perfect and not whole, and we got to find him, and we have to love him, we have to embrace him, we have to lift him up. That's what the Rebbe is all about. So let's read. For them, so girls, for those of you who are new, here's how this works, okay? I gave you a sheet of paper. Some of the words are underlined. Now, if you have, I was sitting this morning and preparing, I was thinking, how many of you can actually follow along with my Yiddish when I read it? That's super on the screen. If you're familiar with Yiddish or Hebrew and you can follow inside, I just read the words that are underlined. I don't read everything. So if you want to read with me, so you just start with the line begin, and I just skip the words that are not underlined. That's how I do it, okay? So we're in 165, second column by the Zayin. Now I'm going to read the text. If you can follow the text, that's how you do it. Just follow the underline, okay? From them, Aleph, from all of the above, Nentman and Rois Ahirah, we take out a lesson that Ali, all Jewish people, and of course, all Jewish people means including the ones who are not gay. The gayness from Ali, the collective conversion of the Jewish people, is canal given b'shas matan Torah happened when Hashem gave us the Torah. Therefore, shame, just like the inyan for matan Torah, the concept of Hashem having given us the Torah, is recurred every day. We don't speak about Hashem giving us the Torah in the past. We speak about it as being an ongoing action. The Rebbe has a whole philosophy built around the teaching of the great Rabbi God called Pu'ula Nemsheches, actions that continue. You know the story with Pu'ula Nemsheches? The Rabbi Shavar met Reb Chaim Brisk, one of the great sages of the last generation. And he told him that when a couple gets married, every second they're remarried. So Reb Chaim said to the Rabbi Shavar, Mazel Tov. He said, for what? Well, you just got married again. There's some things in Judaism, they do them once and it's done. Some things that are continuous, they're constantly rehabbing. And there's a whole philosophy that the Rabbi Shavar presents in his incredibly scholarly mind. What ideas you do it once and it's done, and what ideas are continuous. One of the things that's considered a repeat is giving the Torah. Every second, Hashem gives it to us again. So the Rebbe says, Al derech zeh is moving the begin and nichnesu. The entering into the covenant, which means conversion. And remember, one of the things that this Gemara and Rashi teach us is that not just converts were converted, every Jew is converted. When Hashem gave us the Torah, we all went to the mikveh, we all did a bris, we all did a korban, and we all accepted mitzvahs. Says that ever the phenomena of entering into the covenant with God, the phenomena of being a converted Jew, as oich das, that this also is an inyan, every minute, every one of us is reconverted. Whether we know we're converts or we don't know we're converts. Whether we're in fact converts or we're not, we're from the original 12 Shvat. It makes no difference. All of us were converted, and the Rebbe says just like the giving of the Torah is contiguous, the event of being born as a Jew is contiguous. But every minute we're born again. And he brings sort of a proof for this. Says Yedua dem Bilan. It's well known, the explanation. And then every day we say 3 brachas, right? The girls don't say Shalayas Ani Isha, and I don't want to start trouble. It's a whole other conversation. But you say Shalayas Ani Goy, Shalayas Ani Ovid, Shalayas Ani, you have made me into a Gentile, you have made me into a slave, you have made me into a woman. Now, you have to look at halacha. when you say you have made me into a Gentile, the way it's translated is the Gentiles have fewer mitzvahs. It's not because being a Gentile is bad. Gentiles have a relationship with Hashem. But they quote only have 7 mitzvahs. That's how it says in Allah. So let us say, you have made me into a slave, because a slave doesn't have mitzvahs that are connected to God. And Shalei Isha, which men say it's because women have fewer mitzvahs. That's the way it's explained in Allah. I'm bringing it up, and I don't want to touch on the sensitive part of it. But the point is, every single day we say these 3 brachas, and in Allah, this is the reason. But mystically, it's strange. How many times I say the same thing? No, I was never a Gentile. Every day I have to say it again. Go ahead.
If someone was like converted, do they also say the son?
Of course, because
But Hashem did make them the
he now has more mitzvahs.
And they're reborn as a
No,
Jew.
every convert is born with the soul of a Jewish sister.
Also in the mikveh, they're reborn.
But Hashem still made that as a convert.
Okay, but the fact of the matter is, we can talk the philosophy of what mate means.
Okay, fine.
But now they're more mitzvahs.
Okay.
So the question is, how many times you have to say it? Why do you say it every day? And the answer is, look at the last line. It's Mavur Shalom in Jewish law. Turn the page, 166 now. This blessing for not making me a Gentile is Al Yitzias Nishmasei Balai. Because every night the soul leaves, and there's a fear. Listen to this. That perhaps when your neshama goes out, it encounters the soul of a non-Jew, and the next morning you get a goyish neshama. You say it every morning because every morning there's a renewal of the thanks. The neshama I got back is Jewish. So the Rebbe explained this. Hey, what's the point of it? Ados was the nefesh akadoshah l'hayim. The idea that a Jewish person was given a holy soul. It's not just, you were born a Jew, you have a Jewish soul. But kult and imarayin b'chol yom v'yoyim re-enters the person each day in an inyan shel chiddush, in a way which is considered novel, ad kedei kach, to such an extent, that machana brach, make a new bracha, shul nidbek von nishmas hanochet, and they didn't use the Jewish soul. So the Rebbe is using this as a proof for the idea of contiguousness, of renewal. We didn't get a title one time, we get a title all the time. We were not converted once, or in the words of the Rebbe, we didn't enter into the covenant once, we're continuously entering the covenant. And he uses an example from this idea that every day you have to thank God that you have a Jewish soul, anew, again. So the Rebbe said, what's the point? This is the lesson. The vow that by Yedin, since in every Jew, is there is every single day, the Knisa for thy nefesh hakadosh. Every day we get our Jewish soul back in a way that's so new that we can actually make a bracha shalai yasani goy. Now let me make a clarification, okay? I'm sure you understand that Torah has layers. Torah has layers. And when you ask a question, why? Why did you do this? Why? Oftentimes, one why has many becauses. Because the Torah has many layers, and each layer gives an insight. So appreciate that according to halacha, according to Nigla, simple Torah, you say Shalai Hasani Goy because the Goy has fewer mitzvahs than a Jew with more mitzvahs. According to Kabbalah, you say Shalai Hasani Goy that you got back your Jewish soul. But this is one of those cases where the Kabbalah is actually put in halacha, you see?
Wait, sorry, please again. According to Shah.
Halacha.
Okay.
Halacha. You say Shalai Hasani Goy because the Goy has only 7 mitzvahs and the Jew has more mitzvahs. Fewer mitzvahs. According to Kabbalah, this reason applies. That a Goy doesn't have a Jewish soul, and you think of a Jewish soul. What's unusual here is that this concept in Kabbalah is brought in halacha. The Shulchan Aruch brings this Kabbalistic reason in addition to the classic reason. The Shulchan Aruch brings both. You say Shalai Hasani Goy because you have more mitzvahs, and you say Shalai Goy because you have a Jewish soul. Says that I'm reading from Ches again, okay? One of them is the Herod lesson. Be bowed that by yet since every Jew. It's every single day you have the Knesset for the Nefesh HaKadosh, the re-entry of the Holy Soul. Next underline is the Gerus, Ubris, Vishnayid, mit Eibishten, Vishleimus. If I was converted today, if I went to mikveh today, if I became a new person today, my relationship with Hashem is whole. Perfect. It's as good as it's going to be. It can't be missed. Right? In other words, most of us didn't have the opportunity to choose to be Jewish. I have a former student who said, Rabbi, I did DNA. There's not one drop of Jew in me. She's proud of it. I'm a 100% convert. And she defined herself by it. It's very hard. I mean, being a Yid is hard. Being a gay and about it's very hard. But she embraces the fact that she chose to be a Jew. To her, it's a big deal. She did the DNA tests to determine that there's no. With her, it wasn't some kind of old neshama stuff. It was her choice. That's how she emphasized it. But when you go to the mikveh, it's incredibly powerful. The Rebbe says, the truth is, all of us are doing it every day. So there can't be anything wrong with the Jewishness on that date. And now the Rebbe tells you the relevance of this. Yisrael, Yisrael. Every Jew, doesn't matter who he is, who she is, whether they've sinned or they haven't sinned, is a Jew. And there is nothing corrupt, there is nothing deficient about their Jew. Now think about it. If your being Jew is defined by you being whole and perfect, you do one thing wrong, get out of the loop. Chas v'shalom, a person has a disfigured eye, can't do the avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? There's a mum. Yeah, but the rest of these whole, you gotta be perfect. But if you define the Jew by the gerus, by the essence of being born as a Jew, there's no such thing as a crippled Jew. That's the other side of the coin. And that's the side of the coin that the Rebbe chooses to focus on. Okay, the chatoim von Yid. A Jew can sin. I don't know if you know, I mean, most of you have never sinned in your lives. So it's hard to relate to, but maybe you know some people who know a thing or two about sin. And in Poigim Daim Bloid into his galus of the next validation. The sins make it difficult for the neshama to be fully manifest. Especially using the model of wholeness of every single piece of you is connected to a different mitzvah, and they're all used comprehensive. Let's hasten another word. If I do every mitzvah and I study all of Torah, is shoichet, it rests, and the Rebbe says in Yiddish, life by it shines into every piece of that person distinctly, the Nefesh HaKadosh, the Holy Soul. That is a Beis Hamikdash Yid. That is a Sara Yid. That's not an Esther Yid. That's a Sara Yid. That's a perfect Yid, which is associated with the Beis Hamikdash. And in the scheme of Gerus, that's what the carbon is about. You see? Continues the Rebbe. Mash Ein Ke Yisrael, top of the second column now. As opposed to even if he said. So it may be true, is I Nefesh HaKadosh Ba'im B'Helen, the full revelation of the Neshama, especially in as much as to go into each part of the body may be hidden, because it's black. Because there's a spirit of folly. You know, they like to use the word folly. You know why they use the word folly? Because it's inoffensive. Every time you see an English translation in a mimer, the word folly, substitute for the word stupid. And then you'll understand the mimer. Just me doing something stupid. And you know what the meaning of doing something stupid is? That you know it's stupid. And you know that it's stupid to be stupid. But you're stupid anyway. In other words, when a person makes a mistake, a person makes a mistake. When a person acts like an idiot, he's acting like an idiot, right? This is bad for me. This is gonna hurt me. So why am I doing it? Because I'm stupid. And why would I be stupid on purpose? Weakness. So you have this concept in the Gemara, which of course actually Greeks talks about it so much. The whole context of Maya that goes around the thing. So the Ruach Shtus. Ruach Shtus means I lose my head. Ruach Shtus is translated in the fancy schmancy, a spirit of folly. It's not the spirit of folly. It's the spirit of stupidity. Now, stupidity and folly mean the same thing. But somehow it's not the same English, you understand? When you say stupid, that is exactly what you're talking about. When a person knows something wrong and it's hurtful to himself or herself and does it anyway, they're being an idiot. Why? They lost their self-control. That loss of self-control comes from weakness, right? We always talk about weakness in these classes. We talk about the opposite of free will is weakness. The weakness is a spirit of shtus. The person who's not perfect, I'll get to you in a second, has a spirit of shtus. He does, or she does. So mechusel beruach shtus shenichnesah is covered over by a spirit of shtus, right? To be politically correct, foul. To be direct and honest, stupid. Shenichnesah, which entered haydusha mi bechutz, but they have entered the person from the outside. Go ahead. What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Going back to the last paragraph in the first column, can you just explain the logical leap from doing sin and not being able to perform in the base on Mikdash if you don't have some, if your body's not perfect? So every do now is not perfect, so if you do another sin, we're still not perfect?
The statement you made is accurate. You just said it's true, but I don't know you. I don't know you. God gave you many gifts, I'm sure. I don't know what they are, but there are many. Some things you're extraordinary about. You're very talented in certain ways. You're above average in other ways. You're average in other ways, and you're below average in other ways. So I'm not asking you this question, but I'm asking the question. Can you say honestly, and I don't mean you, that you have developed completely every gift God has given? I know the answer to the
Well,
question.
definitely not.
Of course.
Nobody.
Right. But that's what the basic English model is about. That model doesn't tolerate sin. Because the focus has to be so total. There's no space for distraction. So there's a presumption. So a sin doesn't necessarily mean I'm wounded. A sin means that I'm not able to complete myself in all of my aspects because I allowed myself to get distracted. That's what that Rebbe is saying in that paragraph. Makes sense.
So does that mean that the Kohen who served in the base of Mikdash was not only completely perfect in body,
His physical
but
body.
also in his spiritual?
Right, so that's a great question. Because I don't remember the base of Mikdash, it's been a while, but I don't think all Kohanim were such wonderful people.
Right.
So the law is that they need to be physically whole. The philosophy behind the law is that they need to be complete people. But the way halacha works, if the body is whole and the soul is incomplete, you still qualify. But you could be assured that in terms of the kavanah, in terms of the spirit of their priesthood, it affected the division. And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking of Chafti Pinchas. And Eli HaKohen, he was the high priest, he was the leader of the Dinrin. He had two children, Chafti Pinchas, they were great people. But they made small mistakes. But those small mistakes, because of who they were, are considered so egregious. They're sort of, they're in the column of Omega in the whole history, you understand? And that's right with Omega, right?
Mhm.
Alpha is Omega. Omega means the one that nobody likes. Do you know that in the Gemara, huh? In the Gemara, Abaye and Rava, the greatest rabbis, were descendants of Chafti Pinchas. And the Gemara says they passed away young because of their grandfather sins in the Beis Hamikdash more than 1,000 years before. So they were great enough to produce the greatest Talmidei Chacham who ever lived. So when you talk about whole is another category. It's a practical thing, but it's also a spiritual thing. It's a high level. But the Rebbe doesn't want to speak about the deficiency. He wants to say the other point. What's the other point? I may be missing this, I may be missing this, I may be missing this, but my essence is intact. That's the Rebbe's book. Let's continue where we are. Therefore, fourth line, second column, page 166, is Oich Dan Yisrael. If I'm missing this, or I'm missing this, or I'm missing this, it doesn't touch the essence of my Jewishness. I had a bris, I went to the mikveh. I didn't bring a korban. But my essence is intact. Since he has the essence of his Jewishness, his Zayin Bris, his covenant, the Gedut, and his conversion, which the Rebbe just argued, is happening over and over again every day. Mit dem Eibishten become almighty. Was macht him Farahit, that makes him into a Jew, a vollständiger. You mean vollständiger? Completely self-sufficient and self-sustaining. Loi mechzak kol, he's missing nothing. The root of the word vollständiger, for those of you who speak German or Yiddish, is stand. That means to stand firmly. Vollständiger means it's complete. I'm standing fully. Why? I may be missing this, I may be missing this, but the essence. Perfect. And the Rebbe now quotes the Tanya, one of the most powerful lines in the Tanya. We bow since as the neshama, that the soul of the Jew is intact. And the soul of the Jew is the basis for the conversion. And the conversion which is recurring every day is complete. As the neshama is gam, b'shas, achet, this is a quote from Tanya chapter 24, that even as a person sins, as he sins, right? Let's use a nicer word for sin. Even when we do something stupid, I mean profoundly stupid. And let's be honest, right? Most things that God thinks are a bad idea, we also think they're a bad idea, you know what I'm saying? Most Avedas, that's like, I really would like to do this, but God doesn't want. If he thinks it's a bad idea, we know it's a bad idea. And we're stupid. We're stupid. Why we're stupid? Because we're weak. That's called the Ruach Shtut. Ruach Shtut is the weakness that makes us stupid. So the Alter Rebbe writes, as a person sins, the neshama is loyal to God. At the moment of the sin, the neshama is loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Since even when we're stupid, let's use a Yiddish, a famous Jewish expression, yeah, we got guilt. We don't enjoy it completely. Why? Because we know it's stupid. Okay? Ultimately, it affects on every Jew. As I the neshama should fully emerge. Arais coming begilik and that in a revealed way. Kipsak din at Torah, as the Torah says, and this is a pasuk. You know that it's a pasuk. Lo yidach. Maybe he quotes the but Lo yidach is a pasuk. Lo yidach nidach. No Jew shall be left behind. No Jew is ever lost. And of course, if you study Kabbalah, no spark is ever lost. Ubevadai seif elasis tshuva. And ultimately, every Jew does tshuva. Now, girls, I go from school to school teaching. You know what I'm saying? I teach in many places. And obviously, in every place I teach different things. But there are ideas that sort of overlap. Yeah. But one of the ideas that I'm teaching in the girls of Besifka and the boys in Yeshiva, and now it's coming up here, is the idea of tshuva. The idea of tshuva. We live in a tshuva time. That's what I ever see it. We live in a tshuva generation. But the Gemara says this. The Gemara says before Mashiach comes, the people do tshuva. Jewish people do tshuva. The Rambam brings it halacha that the Torah guarantees before Mashiach comes, we're witnessing. And many people will say that never in history was there the kind of Jewish Renaissance that's happening the post-Holocaust. I mean, it's a lot of years. The Holocaust is 80 years ago. But we are witnessing thousands and thousands, I think you say tens of thousands of Jews, and in Israel, because of the situation, there's a huge awakening for Yiddishkeit. This is a tshuva concept. Tshuva is not whole and balanced. Tshuva is compensation. Tshuva is making up for my deficiencies by, in one way, being extraordinary, being mitzuyan. And the Gemara says Mashiach depends on tshuva. The Gemara doesn't say Mashiach depends on being whole. Mashiach depends on tshuva. The Eibishter likes tshuva, and the Rebbe loves tshuva, or maybe the other way. The Rebbe likes tshuva, the Eibishter loves tshuva. But tshuva is so important to the Rebbe because his whole mandate, the perfect Jews don't need me. I was telling my students in yeshiva the other day, yesterday, that there was a very famous rabbi who visited there in the 1970s, 50 years ago. I guess it's 60 years ago. Wow. No, it's 50 years ago, 50 years. And he said to the Rebbe that he thinks that the Rebbe is doing himself a disservice by not wearing a fur hat, by not wearing the shtaim. All the Rebbe's wear fur hats. And it's a big attraction. If the Rebbe would put on a shtaim, a lot of Jews would come. He tells the Rebbe that in 1977, I guarantee the Rebbe would put on a shtaim, he'll have 50,000 mochsim. Now 50,000 mochsim then is like $250,000 now. It's a lot of people. It's an awful lot of people. And the Rebbe says to him, really? Where am I going to get them from? I'm going to siphon off a few from Baba Chassidus? Sure. I'm going to siphon off a few from Gur Chassidus? Sure. I'm going to siphon off a few from Sap Chassidus? He said, sure. And the Rebbe went through a list of a bunch of different Chassidus. And I'll take a little from Mukach and a little from Kloisenberg, and I'll take a little bit from Skved, and I'll take a little bit from which one am I missing? Bells. I wasn't. Oh God, wait. I'm missing one very important. Vishnitz. So he says, yeah. And then the Rebbe says to him, and how many people are going to siphon off from the Shomer HaTzair, from the Israeli left, who doesn't believe in God? He tells the Rebbe, I don't know. The Rebbe says, why do I need a shleimo? What do I need it for? I'm not in business for them. I'm in business. The Jews who are perfect stay perfect. That's not my business. I'm in business for the Baal Tshuva, for the compensator, who's always perfect. He's perfect even while he sins, and that's the basis for Tshuva. That's his business. That's the Rebbe's business. We learn Baruch Shama, we do Siddur here once in a while. So I told one of my students, he almost fell down. In the davening of Baruch Shama, we read a bunch of baruchs. One of them is Baruch Pedro Maso. Blessed he who redeems and saves. Mystically, redeeming and saving is the children of our children. I told them, that the Siddurim 1,000 years ago didn't have those words.
Wow.
Some did, but most didn't. And why? It's because then they were expected to read Tzaddikim. I would have time with children. That's what the Rebbe is saying. Okay, I will see you in a week. I prepared the next sikh. I never got to it. Okay, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
It's good to be back. Let me tell you.
Baruch Hashem.
I did pretty good. I didn't cough too much today, right? I'm getting better slowly.
Yay.
Yeah, like only 3 times.
Sorry?
Only like 3 times.
She was keeping a
Oh,
tally.
you're keeping tab. Sometimes I sit in my basement and record something. It's not the cough. I think it's in the drive. I don't know.
Do you have a humidifier?
Yeah, and my wife says we lent it to one of our kids and never got it back. So I have one. Isn't that helpful? Anyway, thanks for the coffee and thanks for the 5-minute break. I should have come early. I literally spent an hour and a half preparing today. That's so late. You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed.
Thank you. Let me just give you a heads up. Next week, Sikha, the whole point of the Sikha is to explain that the conversion that they did then is different than our conversion.
Wait, so
The next Sikha we're about to learn is going to prove that the conversion that they did before Har Sinai is different than our conversion. It's less.
no.
Yeah, very few. I didn't.
At your own risk.
What a point was like the whole mandate is that you would eat all of our stuff. What did you think? Yeah.
Say that again.
The whole mandate is the perfect Jew. When we show up to the light.
What last word you said? The whole man is a perfect Jew.
Oh, yeah. Is what Hashem said. Yeah, that, I don't know, that's what I got down from your.
No, you missed it.
Yeah, I went to their classes. I want to do their ballet on it.
In Golos, we don't.
Ballet on Thursday nights.
We're not missing it in Golos, but we can't do it.
Tell me next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gabe is not missing his car back.
That's temporary.
Viva the Jew. Who's not a gay, if not able to.
Wait,